Hello, everyone. This is Dr. I here from Classroom Without Walls, and welcome to the third training of my four-part video training, in which I teach you how you can help your children be future ready. And I'm live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Periscope. As I'm doing the training right now, I will not be able to engage with you. So if you have any question, please feel free to leave your question in the comment section. After I finish the training, I promise you that I'm going to go back to revisit your comments and to answer as many questions as possible. And in today's training, and I'm going to teach you and to talk about life skills. Why life skills are so important, and what are the life skills that are really important, and how to cultivate them in order to help our children to be future ready. So as I mentioned earlier, this is my third training and out of the four-part video training series. And I want to do a quick review of what we discussed last week. And let me know in the comment section if you are live with me right now, in the comment section where you are joining us live from, which country and which social media. Okay, so if you think about this, if you want to help your children to be future ready, what is the first thing that came to your mind? Knowledge, right? They need to know something and they need to understand something. They need to have their own subject matter expertise, right? So that's knowledge. So that's pretty much what we discussed the last 2 weeks, okay? So they need school knowledge. Besides school knowledge, they also need to learn the media knowledge, which school is not teaching our children. What I mean by that is our children's ability to use social media, technology to engage in storytelling and story selling, to market themselves, to showcase their unique personalities, skills, and talent. So schools are not teaching that. That's what we discussed the first week and the second week. Again, if you missed the training, let me know in the comment section and I'm going to send you the link. Okay. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. If your children only have knowledge, congratulations, that's a good start. For them to be future ready, you also need life skills. Okay, so that's the kind of the chunk of the iceberg, which is what we are going to discuss today. Life skills, why they're so important, and why our children not only need knowledge, but more importantly, they also need life skills to become future ready. And next week, next Thursday, I will be doing my last training and talking about mindset. This is something that I can promise you that many schools, high school students, college age students, their universities or schools are not teaching our children to learn how to master their mind, how to overcome self-limiting beliefs, how to cultivate self-awareness, so on and so forth. So that's last week's training, and this week we are talking about life skills. Okay, so what is life skills? And let me know what you think, how you define life skills. And life skills are pretty much our abilities and behaviors that we use to manage challenging and day-to-day life situations. And those are called, commonly defined as life skills. And last year, and the Society for Human Resource Management, they published a 5-part article series in which they talked about future readiness, traditional college education, and our students, and how well the traditional education is preparing our children to be future ready. And if you are interested in getting a copy of the article, you can just write down a workbook in the comment section, and I will send you a link to download the workbook. So in that article, they made a compelling argument and saying that 73 percentage of organizations, they struggle to find qualified job applicants. 73, especially in those areas that need soft and life skills, such as communication, interpersonal communication skills, listening, collaboration, critical thinking. And there is a shortage for people who have such skills. Clearly, the traditional four-year college or traditional school environment are not helping our children developing those skills. Again, 73% of organizations, they struggle to find qualified people who have such soft skills. And similarly, at the beginning of this year, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn Learning. So at the beginning of this year, LinkedIn Learning published an article. So in that article, they list a list of soft skills that most companies need in 2020. And again, there's a short supply of people who have such soft skills. So what they have on their list, according to LinkedIn, based on their research and surveys of thousands of companies, so soft skills on their list include communication, collaboration, persuasion, creativity, and emotional intelligence. And I can go on and on with those articles. McKinsey has a similar report talking about life skills, not just knowledge, my friends. If you are a parent, I really want to wake you up. Not just knowledge, you can. That's the tip of the iceberg to get our students ready, our children future ready. And so much research has shown soft skills, emotional intelligence, and they are in high demand. We have a short supply, and they are important to help our children become future ready. So the bigger question is why? Why all those companies are demanding students to have such skills? So I have three answers to share with you to explain that. Why life skills are so important. Skills like listening, emotional intelligence, why they are so important. And those three reasons are based on my own research, my academic background, and also I taught in higher education for 10 plus years. And the students I worked with more than 2,000 students. So here are the three reasons why life skills are so important. First, and one important life skill, like LinkedIn Learning talked about this, a McKinsey report talked about this, is emotional intelligence. Do you actually know emotional intelligence is twice predictive of a person's work performance than IQ? Twice predictive. And also, 90% of high performance, they actually demonstrate a high level of EQ, not IQ, but EQ. That's 90%. So what we can learn from numbers like that is to have long-term career success, EQ makes a big difference. Not just knowledge, but actually EQ. Okay, so that's reason number one why life skill is so important. And the second reason is AI and automation. As artificial intelligence and automation and machine learning and technology, as all of those things have become more and more predominant and more dominant and forceful in our society, there's also a corresponding high demand for human skills. So as AI, in other words, as AI and technology and automation, as all of them have become more and more dominant, more and more popular, and people are not necessarily needing more people who know those things. We do need them, but also more importantly, and workplace, 21st century workplace, we are looking for people who have human skills. And such human skills include communication, listening, compassion, critical thinking, interpersonal skills. Again, important life skills, or sometimes they are called power skills. Sometimes they are called soft skills, and here, as you can see here, called human skills. And so all of those, as you know, AI and technology have become more important because those are the skills that cannot be replaced by technology and machine. And so that's the second reason why life skills are so important. And then the third reason why life skills are so important is, actually, for the second point, I want to add another quick story. I don't know how many people know this author. Her name is Esther Wojcicki. And so she is actually the author of the book How to Raise Successful People. Let me write her name down. Esther Wojcicki, Wojcicki. Esther Wojcicki, and her book How to Raise Successful People is actually very influential. It's okay if you don't know her name, but I bet you have heard of YouTube, right? Let me know in the comment section if you have heard of YouTube. I'm actually going live on YouTube right now. So Esther is the mother of the CEO of YouTube, and she's also the mother of 23andMe, which is a very influential startup. And she's also the mother of a very successful college professor at University of California, San Francisco. So clearly she is a very successful parent, and she is also an educator herself. So many people come to her to seek parenting and educational advice. And I really loved reading her book, How to Raise Successful People. And in her book, and going back to what we discussed here, and she made this very compelling argument. As machine learning, technology, as all of them have become more and more popular, more people are using computers, and we as parents, we need to be even more intentional in cultivating important life skills, human skills, and soft skills in our children, starting from a very young age to your teenager, college age, high school age, to their early adulthood. Very important. And she gave us a list of soft skills or life skills or human skills, such as empathy, compassion, kindness, respect, creativity, and all of those are important life skills that cannot be replaced by technology. So that's the second reason. Okay, the first one is we talk about EQ, why life skill is so important, and we also talk about AI. As AI has become more popular, and we need more people who actually have human skills. And definitely check out Esther, and her book is really amazing. And so the last reason is a very So it's a very popular it's a very popular model in learning and development. And if you have ever heard of this term 70, 20, and 10, let me know in the comment section if you have ever heard of this. So what this model explains is pretty much they teach us if we want to move hold on, let me this. And if we want to move from point A to point B, so point A is where you are now, And point B is a future ready state, right? You want to become a better leader, you want to become a better student, become a better mom, a dad, a teacher, whatever. So B represents that better future state that you desire. And point A is where you are now. So in order for this transformation to happen from A to B, you need a bridge, right? So the bridge is this model, 70, 20, and 10. So what this model means is for any transformation to happen, and we, of course, going back to the iceberg model, we need knowledge. You actually need to know something, right? For me to be able to teach you this right now, and I need to know how to use social media, how to use my computer, how to use my smartphone, and how to set this up, right? So you need knowledge. So that is formal learning, right? The classes you take, the tip of the iceberg, that's like 10%. So 10% of this transformation from point A to point B comes from knowledge. You take a class, school-based knowledge. You go to school, you choose a major, whatever you learn. That's only 10%, my friend. And what's the 20%? Anyone else give this a guess? So that is called social learning. What social learning means is peer-to-peer coaching and class discussion. You work with a coach, you work with a mentor. So all those kind of like small group learning environment to help you digest the 10%. But that's only 20%. And if you add the 10% and the 20%, that's only 30%. So the biggest missing piece here that really leads to transformation from point A to point B is experiential learning, learning based on experience, real life learning, learning in real life environment, in real life scenarios, learning on the job as you apply. As I always say, information does not lead to transformation. That's the 10%. Information does not lead to transformation. Application does. So here is talking about application, experiential learning, learning in real life. The biggest, the best school is real life. That's why I have this classroom without walls, and life is the best school, right? So here, and that's where you learn in life. That's why life skills, not just knowledge, real life learning, experiential learning, this section is so important. That is the 70% to help you to transform from point A to point B. So I just want to quickly summarize. So why is life skills so important? And we talk about EQ, which is more predictive of a person's lifelong success and career promotion, and AI and technology, as they have become more popular, and human skills are also becoming increasingly in high demand. And the last but not least is the 70-20-10 learning model, which really talks about this component: real life learning, learning on the job, and learning how to apply, and making failures and mistakes. Those are the three reasons why life skills are so important. So now at this point, 20 minutes, I talk about this, I blah, blah, blah. You're like, hey, Dr. I, guess what? You sold us. And we agree. Life skills, knowledge is good. That's only 10%. And I understand that life skills are so important. And we need to help our children to master and to acquire those life skills in order to become a future ready. I'm sold on that. Okay. So what to do next? Now, the next step you want to really ask yourself is, this is good. How to cultivate them? How to cultivate? How to develop important life skills to become future ready? Let me also erase this. So if you do some research and you will discover under life skills, there is so much literature, so much research has been done in this area. And there is a long list of life skills. And at my school, my Life Accelerator program, we are primarily helping high school students and college age students. And based on my experience of working with more than 2,000 students and parents in the United States and in different countries, and I discovered there are 5 important life skills that those young adults, high school age, college age students, if they want to be ready for the job market, if they want to create a fulfilling life, if they want to be future ready, they have to master those 5 life skills. And so here are those 5 life skills. So number 1 is communication. Oh, hold on for a second. And number 2 is collaboration. And I'm not just talking about traditional communication or traditional collaboration. I'm also talking about collaboration digitally, in the digital medium. And number 3 is, let me share just in case. And number 3 is leadership. And number 4, adaptability. And number 5 is EQ. And again, I developed this list of 5 important life skills for any kind of young adults to get started. And it's really based on my own research, my own teaching experience, and you may come up with a different list, which is totally fine. And I definitely don't have time to go over all of them. I just want to really briefly talk about 2 of them and why they are so important to help our children be future ready. And so the first one I want to discuss is adaptability, which is being mentioned by LinkedIn Learning, a McKinsey report, and quite a few other major large publications like Forbes, Inc. magazine. And adaptability, one thing, many people say that we're not sure about the future, right? I'm not sure either how the future is going to unfold. But one thing that we all know for sure is that change is going to happen. And how do we really help our students to become more adaptive, to become more resilient? And in my book, and I believe in traveling and international traveling, especially to really expose our children to real life environment, especially environment that is very, very different from their home country. And I call myself a global citizen. I grew up in China. I came to the US in my early 20s, and I have traveled to so many European countries and countries in Southeast Asia. And I really attribute my success to my international traveling a lot, which really has helped me become a lot more adaptive, a lot more resilient, and also cultivate my self-awareness. And there are actually lots of research, as I mentioned earlier, published on Inc. magazine and Forbes, and they mentioned traveling, there is actually a very tight connection between traveling, especially international traveling, and self-awareness and entrepreneurship and creativity, critical thinking. Very positively correlated, very tight connection. And actually, quite a few really well-known startup companies, their founders gained their idea, their creativity, their innovative ideas from traveling abroad. So that's the first thing. If you really want to help your children become future ready and cultivate those very important life skills, and they are very unlikely to develop those skills by sitting in a classroom and taking notes and regurgitating information. That is not likely to happen. So get them out and explore and traveling. So the next thing I want to discuss very briefly is EQ, and then I will call it a day. Emotional intelligence. Why emotional intelligence is such a big part under life skills. And actually, almost every single report that I read that talks about life skills, why they are so important to help our children become future ready, mentioned EQ, emotional intelligence. And also, remember, I mentioned earlier, those 90% of high performance have a high EQ, not IQ. Okay. So when you think about our life, right? So there's the self. So there's the self and then everything outside the notion of the self, right? So what emotional intelligence about is really our ability to kind of work with the self and work with others. Okay. So this is there is a solid body of research on this, and again, this is not developed by me. I wish. And so, those of you who are interested in learning more about emotional intelligence, I highly recommend you check out um, Daniel Goleman. I got his name. Yes. So check him out, and he is the scholar who kind of developed this body of work. So when you think about life is self and others, the society. And when we oftentimes we hear people say, hey, like Dr. I, she has really high EQ. I really think, and the reason I get to where I'm today is really because of my EQ, not so much IQ. My IQ is probably not really high at all. But anyway, so we frequently hear that this person has a really high EQ and that person has a low EQ. What does that really mean? And here is what this really means. The self and the others. And so, what emotional intelligence really is about is really our ability to recognize the self, recognize our own emotions, and regulate our own emotions. So, here we call this our ability to recognize our own emotions, self awareness. And understanding yourself and understanding your own strengths. Now I'm an entrepreneur, I run my business, I need a high level of self-awareness, understand what is something I'm really passionate about, what is my passion, what is something that I'm really good at, what is something I'm not good at, so I can delegate or delete, let other people do this. So that self-awareness is so important, even if you are not thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, but to just become successful in life, to become future ready, you need that. So self-awareness and our ability to regulate our own emotions, our own like understanding of who we are, and it's called, trying to make sure I use the right color, self-control. How well can we control our own emotions? How well can we control our own feelings? If you have children, you can see that in your young children. My younger son, 5 years old, he definitely doesn't have lots of high self-control at all. But like if you are talking about workplace to be future ready, you need to be able to control yourself, control your own emotions. You're really emotional, really upset, you are sad, angry, frustrated. You need to be able to regulate, to pause, to regulate your own emotions. Okay, so that's under the self. And the same logic can be applied to our relationship with society. So recognize others means social awareness. And here we're really talking about empathy, our ability to relate to each other, to other human beings, to put ourselves into their shoes, to think on their behalf. It is a very important skill. And I interviewed quite a few. I have a few live streaming shows, and I interviewed Seth Godin, quite a few influential people on my show, and they all told me how important it is to see that another person who can think on those people's behalf, how empathetic they are in order for those influential people to be considered, to work with them, to build a partnership. So empathy is really important. And even for me, when other people are approaching me for this and that, if they can really think on my behalf, I'm more likely to work with those people. So that's a very, very, very important skill. And you hear that from leaders, and actually many leaders, they do demonstrate this, their ability to be empathetic. And the last box we're talking about here is our ability here, talking about to recognize social cues, to recognize the social environment. And the last box we're talking about here is our ability to not just recognize, but actually to regulate, to manage this. So this is called relationship management. And this is really common, right? Startup companies or any organization where you have people, you have politics, you have conflicts. So how well can you manage your relationship with your coworkers, with your boss, with your leaders, with your supervisors, with your peers? And pretty much, that's what we hear. We talk about almost on a daily basis. So this part is so, so, so important. Makes a big difference in terms of how far you can travel on your career path, especially if you are climbing the corporate ladder, and how likely you will be promoted. Research has shown that, your ability to resolve conflict, your ability to understand others, your ability to work with others. So now I hope this can really help you understand emotional intelligence. You can really see why emotional intelligence is such an important element under life skills, and how this is directly related to our children's future readiness. Even at my own school, I always hire trainers and speakers, digital mentors to work with my own students. And in the past, I have hired people who are really high on the IQ, extremely, extremely smart, very smart, but they are so low on the EQ, especially this part that they cannot empathize with others. They have no social skills. They don't know how to interact with each other, to collaborate, especially if people come from different countries with a different background, and they really struggle with that. And those people, I'm not going to hire them anymore. I'm not going to work with them anymore, because IQ, technical knowledge, is a lot easier to be trained. EQ is a lot harder to be trained. Okay, so that's what I have for you for today's training, and I kind of want to review what we discussed a little bit. Again, if you love this training, please give me a heart, give this a share. And so really going back to the iceberg model, okay? So what we discussed earlier is knowledge. And that's only the tip of the iceberg, which unfortunately is many parents' attention. When they are thinking about getting their own children to be future ready, they are only looking at the tip of the iceberg. So what they are missing, which is what we just discussed today, is life skills. And remember, this section is twice as predictive of a person's workplace performance than IQ. And high performers, they have a high level of social skills, and the low performers. Okay, and so not next week, we are going to next Thursday, I will be doing my last training, and we are going to discuss mindset. Okay. So I really want you to, I'm really passionate about this because I worked with so many students who come to me who cry, Dr. I don't feel like ready for the future. I don't have any skills. And those students are not alone. So many students, remember the percentage I shared earlier, 73% of organizations struggle to find qualified job applicants who have not only hard skills, but also more importantly, soft skills. So if you are a parent watching this right now, I really want you to think and to maybe disrupt, disrupt your traditional thinking a little bit. Knowledge is important, but that is the tip of the iceberg. If you want your children to become a future ready, you need knowledge, not only school knowledge, but new age media knowledge, but also more importantly, life skills. Okay. Those are the things that can really help your children go far in life. And next week, we are going to discuss mindset. Thank you so much for joining us live, for joining me live, for watching this. And again, if you have any question regarding what I have just shared, leave your questions in the comment section, and I'm going to answer as many questions as possible. And follow me on my hashtag. And if you missed the last two trainings, and leave training in the comment section, and I'm going to send you a link where you can watch the last two trainings that parents loved watching them, and quite a few of them watched my training a few times to fully digest the information. And if you want to learn more about this, you can always book a call with me and we can talk about this. If you want to learn more about my Life Accelerator program, so also let me know. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Stay safe and take care and stay awesome. I love you guys. Bye.